I'm Jody.
And I'm Alison.
And you're listening to The Blume Saloon.
It's a Judy Blume book club.
I completely forgot how to do the intro. It's been like 2 weeks since our last episode.
A whole week goes by in between. We've forgotten everything.
Well, take a deep breath.
Feels so good to be back.
Yeah, it really does. It seems like a lot longer than a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Where do we even start?
Well, you were thinking about going to the Fire Festival, but instead you went to Utah.
Oh, yeah. My plans for the Fire Festival really fell through, y'all.
You decided you'd take your, $10,000 and spend it somewhere else.
Oh, you did a really good job working that in. So we'll just tell you a little secret, you guys. Allison and I were like, how can we fit in, some banter about the Fire Festival? Because we just want to talk about it so bad. I mean, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be old news, a little passé. But right now, it's still great. Super current. Last night, I spent more time than I'd like to admit looking up Firefest hashtags.
Oh, Jody had all the memes.
They were so good. My favorite one was this very slickly produced food video, like the ones you see from the Food Network, and they're all about making these beautiful Pinterest-worthy edibles, and this one was how to make the perfect Fire Festival sandwich, and it showed delicate hands peeling off the cheese wrapper of some Kraft singles and popping out some slices of white bread and tearing it apart slowly with your hand.
And putting it on the styrofoam plate.
Oh, yeah, and a little sprinkling of iceberg lettuce on the side.
Oh, it's so good.
It was.
I'm loving every second of it. It was advertised as a luxury, music festival. And
like a millennial VIP getaway.
Was it in the Bahamas?
Yeah, and you could hang with Gigi Hadid and
right. It had a bunch of models had been roped in to advertise for it on their social
Kendall
media.
Jenner.
But all the actual celebrities and most of the musical acts were warned not to go. It's not working out, so none of them went. But a bunch of Instagram influencers still went. They did not get the memo and were stranded. I hope no one actually got hurt, because the idea of all of these rich kids getting bitten by bugs, sleeping in plastic tents is just, it's a lot.
That was one of my favorite parts is the geodesic domes. They were the luxury domes they were supposed to reside in were actually FEMA tents.
Oh my God. Did you read the article about the person that was a producer on it?
Yes. Oh, that was so good.
It was just so good.
They forgot to ask me to sign an NDA.
And that just shows what shambles.
Oh, yeah.
It was, because...
Well, it's the audacity of these young 20-somethings to think that they can produce a music festival in a matter of mere weeks or a couple months is just assume that everything's so easy. If you have that go-getter attitude and all the money in the world, you can make anything happen. But no, that kind of shit takes years of experience, networking, talent.
Oh, yeah. Have you...
skill, business savvy.
Watched any of the Viceland network?
I think so, yeah.
So, we watch a lot of it because, I'll watch, Pot TV all day. But they actually have this series called Jungle Town.
Oh, my.
And it's a bunch of kids that pay to go and be interns in this jungle town. They're supposed to be building a sustainable town in Panama. And these kids are losing it. And it's kind of the same where you're just, what kind of sustainable town did you think you were building? Who needs this town? It's in the middle of Panama, and guy that runs it,
who's gonna
super
live here?
Scammy, and they all pay to get there. And so in the first week, they're all hungry. Where's our money actually going?
That is fascinating.
It's really
I gotta
good.
check that one out.
Yeah, please. I highly recommend it. I think Vice probably had a marathon of it on this weekend because of the Fire Festival.
Oh, yeah.
They're if you love seeing privileged white kids suffer, you'll love this.
Oh, it's such Schadenfreude. I never had to pronounce this. Schadenfreude? Schadenfreude? Schadenfreude. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Schadenfreude?
I think it's Freud.
Schadenfreude.
Okay. We'll report back to you guys once we do some research and we figure out how to pronounce that word.
Yeah. That'll be in odds and ends.
Yes. So you guys, we have read chapters 13 through 15.
That's right. We decided to do a few because there was so much happening and we wanted to make sure that we gave it plenty of time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the book is Tiger Eyes.
Oh, yeah. Tiger Eyes by Judy Blume. We're loving it. There's just so much happening. I'm really pretty impressed by the layers.
So should we start with our list of characters?
Let's do it. Let's do it. So we've got Davy Wexler, our main character, and we've got her brother Jason and her mom Gwen. We've got Witsy.
Yes, Witsy.
Walter and Bitsy, who are Davy's aunt and uncle. They're staying, Davy and Jason and her mother are staying with in New Mexico. They're in Los Alamos, New Mexico. Then we've got Wolf. Our mysterious canyon man.
Can we, every time we say his name now, can we play a game and we just have to go, Wolf, 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 echoing through the canyons.
Wolf.
Oh.
I love it.
Okay.
We've got Hugh and Linnea aren't really in it, but they get some postcards, so I figured they should be mentioned. Yeah. Hugh is Davy's kind of boyfriend-ish person.
Hookup, basically.
Yeah, her
summertime hookup.
Her summer bae. And Linnea is her best friend back home. And then we've got a new character, Jane.
Oh my God, Jane! I love her already.
Jane is great, I can tell. We only get a tiny dose of Jane, but I'm pumped to learn more about her. She lives in Bathtub Row.
She lives in Bathtub Row. I was so excited to read that.
I know. I feel like so much of your research has really paid off, Jody. So I'm excited to hear more later on.
It was not, what's the phrase? I'm glad it wasn't for naught, or
just full of phrases.
No,
this episode. It was not for naught. So yeah, chapter 13.
Okay. Oh, you mean chapter 8? Just kidding.
4.
Before
16?
we started recording, I had some more trouble with my chapter numbers, but we're good. We're good. So here we go. The Wexlers have been in Los Alamos with Witsy, Uncle Walter, and Aunt Bitsy for about 2 weeks at this point. They've crammed in a whole lot of sightseeing. They've really just kind of kept very busy to keep their minds off this horrible tragedy of their father being murdered.
It seemed like a lot of Witsy.
Yeah, a lot of Witsy.
A lot of Witsy.
So they're kind of ready to head back to Jersey. But then the phone rings.
I just want to say, Judy loves starting a chapter or ending a chapter with a mysterious phone ring or a doorbell ring. And I love it. It really got me when this chapter opened.
It's so true. I thought the same thing. So there's a bit of suspense. It turns out to be for Gwen, which is Davy's mother, Mrs. Wexler. And it's her friend Audrey from back in Atlantic City. So Gwen goes over to the phone, has a hushed conversation, imagining a lot of whispers and gasps. Audrey tells Gwen that their family store, which is the 7-Eleven that they lived above, has been vandalized. I mean, you guys, this is fucked up. The windows were shot out, smashed, everything was destroyed and looted. The worst possible thing that could happen after your husband and father has been murdered in that same store just 2 weeks earlier.
You know what I thought about and they didn't touch on? Did they get the drawings?
Oh, I don't know. I hope not. I mean, I hope that comes back into play later and they save the drawings.
I hope they already got the drawings out of the store.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, because Adam, who is the father and Davy's mom's husband, was an artist. So he had drawings of the family members, kind of hanging up all over. And the customers, yes.
That's what he did with his downtime at the store. He drew.
So I just wrote, what the fuck? It's so unfair. How can you not take it personally almost?
I wrote, geez, Atlantic City.
Yeah, geez. I mean, the cops said it probably was unrelated to the murder, but at this point...
That just sucks.
Yeah, it's the worst, literally. This is not good for her state.
It's definitely not good for her mom's state.
No. And speaking of, Davy's mom has a very understandable meltdown. I probably would too. But this meltdown is unlike any other meltdown Davy and her family have seen before. Her mom's wailing, moaning, throwing objects, an amber ashtray smashes.
The ashtray got me because I was like, oh, wow, this is 1981 because Walter and Bitsy would never have an ashtray now. Like,
right.
If they were setting now, it'd be like, you smoke?
Right.
Oh, my God, that's awful. But they probably were, like, vacuuming and smoking at the same time.
Oh, my God.
It was that era.
That's a great mental image. Yeah, the ashtray is no more. She's yelling, damn them to hell, and she's just making a big mess. And the family is standing by, not knowing what to do.
Yeah, no one knows what to do, not even Witsy.
They're which is very unlike them.
Right.
So Gwen, she's like kicking and flailing, and then she injures her foot by kicking the wall so hard. Her toes are swollen, they're black and blue, which is unfortunate, but that seems to be the only thing that snaps her out of her frenzy. Poor Jason, he's the 7-year-old brother. He's just so afraid, and Davy and Witsy are more kind of just like in shock. They've never seen Gwen react like this. But Bitsy, always prepared, she snaps into action as soon as Gwen injures her foot, and she says, you know, all you can do for broken toes are tape them up, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
I broke my toe hula hooping a few years ago.
Oh, dear.
And I did some quick Googling, and I learned the same thing. Just tape it up, and bought my first pair of cowboy boots and wore those around because they were the only shoes I could find that had stiff toes that wouldn't make my toes flex up and down. So,
oh, that's so funny.
And I've been wearing cowboy boots ever since.
Yeah, I did it moving once, like
Really?
kicked a box, trying to navigate the mess of moving barefoot, which is really stupid.
Well, you kicked it out of frustration, or you're
no,
just trying to move
it was just
it?
like walking.
Oh.
And like accidentally kicked it. You know, it was just
Yeah.
classic toe stubbing.
Yeah.
Oof, it was painful.
Toes break way too easily.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
Fuck toes.
So, yeah, they decide not to go to the hospital, which again seems kind of unlike Witsy, not to just take a immediate trip to the emergency room, but I kind of get the sense they would have been very embarrassed.
To explain what happened.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory. But the next day, poor Gwen, her toes are still really bad. They decide to go to the hospital anyway. They get some x-rays, and the doctor says, did you know the only thing you can do for a broken toe is to tape it up? And Bitsy's secretly like, yeah, I knew that.
I know, I hate that. It's really funny because, you know, they are so helpful, Walter and Bitsy,
mm-hmm.
but you can't help get into Davy's mindset of just being like, you guys are annoying.
Yes. Yeah, and I kind of teetered back and forth between relating to Davy, but also really being empathetic to Bitsy and her situation. And
they're very helpful.
Yeah.
Like, they really are helping out their family in this really tough time.
They're
so
doing what they
they're
think is
lovely
best.
in that way,
Yeah.
but it's also like, ooh.
Yeah. The next day, Davy decides to strike out. Again, she's had a little bit too much of Witsy, and she goes shopping. She buys 2 postcards at TG&Y. Now, Allison, have you heard of TG&Y?
No.
Neither had I. So, of course, I had to look it up.
Tell me more.
Can we do a little sidebar here for some TG&Y?
Yeah, I'd love to know all about TG&Y. It has no relation to TCBY?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No frozen yogurt involved.
Okay.
Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back to you with some TG&Y.
Woo!
It's kind of like a 5 and dime. It's like a variety store.
Oh, okay.
Like a Woolworths or a...
ABC?
I don't know ABC.
That's
your hometown store?
No,
Or
that's what they
regional
have
store?
in Hawaii, but I feel like they have them in
Oh.
other places too.
Oh.
ABC stores.
That's funny because when I lived in Virginia, the ABC store was like the liquor store.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like the government-run liquor stores.
In Hawaii, it's where you get like beach chairs and sunscreen, and you can get liquor, and you can get Pringles.
The best combo. So what did you have? Because all I can think of is Woolworths, because that's what we had when I was kind of growing up. And they had one in New Orleans and it had like an old school lunch counter, which was awesome. But now it's no more.
Yeah, we just had like liquor store type gas station type place, like Ameristop and Circle K.
Oh yeah, Circle K. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is just like a get everything you need kind of store. They started in Oklahoma. They were pretty prominent in the South for a while. They had their heyday in the 60s. They had funny slogans like, it's turtles, girdles, and yo-yos. Toys, games, and yo-yos.
Like more turtles and girdles.
Yes, I love it. Unfortunately, they went bankrupt in 2001.
Damn.
But I think we need to take another field trip because there's a TG&Y exhibit at the Chisholm Trail Museum in Kingfisher, Oklahoma.
Oh.
And it looks thrilling.
Yeah. I'm in.
I mean, apparently Oklahomans they're very proud of it.
Okay.
So I'd love to hear from any listeners from that area who remember TG&Y.
If anyone has any TG&Y stories, send them in. bloomsaloon@gmail.com.
America's turning to TG&Y. Get ready for back to school with organizers and notebooks. Just $3.66 each. Boys and girls fleece activewear, pants and tops in bright colors, now $9 per set. And activewear for ladies and men, sale priced at only $11 a set. Look for these great savings and more in our special 68-page shopper's guide. For the best back to school buys. Time to say hi to TG&Y.
So yeah, Davy buys 2 postcards at the store. She sends them off to her 2 friends, Hugh and Linnea.
I like what she writes to Hugh.
Do you want to read it?
Yeah, I thought it's really quick. Did you hear about the store? It's the last straw. I don't know when we're coming home now. I just liked kind of this dramatic, like, I don't know what's happening in my life.
And that one was to Hugh, right?
Yep. To Linnea, she was more kind of chipper and like, there's so much science. I know you love science. But to Hugh, it was a little melodramatic.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny to think of before you could just text somebody or even send them an email. You had to update them via postcards.
Yeah, long-distance relationships before the internet. How was it done?
Well, I think this explains why Davy is already shifted her gaze to wolf.
Whoa. Am I close enough to the mic?
Whoa. Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, good.
So, yes, Davy mails her postcard. She goes to the library, but she can't focus on reading anything. So then she keeps walking and passes a shoe store with a fly pair of hiking boots in the window on sale. She has to have them.
Oh, yeah.
So she goes in, tries them on. She buys the boots. She buys a pair of thick gray socks, just like Wolf's, and some snow steel to waterproof them.
And she paid for it with money from her summer job.
Oh, yeah. I would love to read this paragraph because I don't know why. I just really enjoy kind of the description of her summer job and her saving up money, being very industrious. It's page 66.
I just like her what they called her profession.
Oh, yeah. So she's paying for her shoes and she's paying for it in cash. She says, I have exactly $74.68 saved up from my summer job. I worked as a beach girl at the Park Place Hotel, handing out towels and carrying chairs for guests. A beach girl. How dreamy does that sound?
I want to be a beach girl.
I know.
That sounds awesome.
Well, summer's coming up, Allison. Maybe we can be beach girls somewhere.
Can you be a pregnant beach girl?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was paid in tips. On a good day, I could pocket $15. I had planned to blow it all on back-to-school shopping spree. Once I was shopping in Bamberger's with my mother, and I saw this girl piling up sweaters and skirts and jeans and shirts. I couldn't take my eyes off that pile. And I guess she noticed because she turned to me and smiled. I'm going away to college, she said, as if she had to explain. And I smiled back and thought about what it must be like to have so much money that you can buy whatever you want, much more than you need. And that's what I'd planned to do with my $74.68, although I knew I wouldn't get much of a pile.
Aww.
So she's been saving up, but, you know, she just had to have those boots.
And I think you kind of understand their situation a little bit more. That, you know, Davy's parents weren't well off and just like letting her spend whatever she wanted on whatever she wanted.
She knows money does not grow on trees. She fully understands that.
She's a hardworking gal.
Yeah. So she buys the boots. She's walking on sunshine after her purchase. The boots remind her of Wolf, and she can't wait to go find him.
Ooh.
She says, I want to see if being around him still makes me feel glad to be alive.
Oh, man. I like that. That's a good gauge of whether or not you like someone.
Yeah. But she also feels super guilty. She worries that her mom will think it's a waste of money or an impulse buy, just like what we said, that she's not used to being able to buy whatever she wants, whenever she wants. And especially now with, the father being gone and the store being vandalized, like money's tight, I'm sure. So she decides she'll keep the boots a secret. But later that day, Bitsy takes the fam to the Science Museum where she volunteers. And Allison, you found out a little bit of info on the Science Museum?
No, I was just looking up cool things to do in Los Alamos, like a top 10 list on TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
And number 2 was the Bradbury Museum of Science. So yeah, I was like really excited when this popped up because I was like, I know about that place. Everything else, it was really silly. It was like, you could go hike on like one mountain. You could go to like the atomic something or other.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the top 10 things was like hyperbolic chamber, massage, like just like weird massage place like we have in the Bay Area,
right?
In plenty. But I was like, oh wow, this is top 10.
I love
for Los
it.
Alamos, so that's cool.
Well, can we talk about Bitsy's uniform?
Yes!
Is that what you were going to say?
I was just going to say, I do not want to move on until we've talked about how Bitsy has made herself a uniform.
Yeah, so officially there's no uniform for her position as a guide at this museum.
Her volunteer position.
But like Allison said, she's made her uniform. Do you want to describe it to us?
Yeah, she's got, a burgundy
blazer,
blazer, and dark pants. That's all I have.
And a white shirt and a black bolo tie.
Oh my god.
Like to top it all off with a bolo tie.
That'd be the most obscure Halloween costume. I'm Bitsy from Tiger Eyes, but only on Wednesdays when she works at the museum.
Oh my god, please do it. You can even have, because she has a name tag that says like Bitsy Chronic Volunteer Guide or something like that. I'm in. Yeah. But it also made me think of like how I kind of make my own uniform every Saturday when so I host a metal show on Saturdays. It's the Metal Asylum on Radio Valencia. And it's so nice just to know exactly what I'm going to wear every day because I pull on a pair of black jeans. I pull out a metal t-shirt from my closet. I put on my leather jacket and like a cool necklace and I'm ready to go. And I've realized over like the years of doing this that this is my uniform.
That's awesome.
For the Metal Asylum.
My weekend uniform usually consists of like a Cheers sweatshirt.
Cheers, like the TV show?
Yeah.
You have a Cheers sweatshirt?
Yeah, you've never seen it?
No.
I do typically wear, like whenever I had to work on the weekends, I'd wear it into the office to be like, I'm sorry, I'm in my weekend clothes.
That's the best.
It's a really good one.
Did you get it from the Cheers bar?
No, I got it from Thrift Town, R.I.P.
Oh.
You know Thrift Town's going away?
Yeah, on Mission?
Yeah. So sad.
Well, I'm glad you have that treasured find.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Forever and always.
Okay. So back to the museum. What is it? The Bradbury Museum?
Yeah, the Bradbury Science Museum.
Okay. This museum is like basically seems like a tribute to the atomic bomb. Of course, this is in Los Alamos, Atomic City. This is their pride and joy. So they go there and they learn all about the bombs, specifically Little Boy and Fat Man, the two bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Is it Fat Man or Fat Boy?
Little Boy and Fat Man.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. Is it not?
I know. I just thought it was Little Boy and Fat Boy, but that makes more sense. I mean,
think one is a man and one is a boy.
There's such bizarre names for things that killed so many people and were so awful.
Yeah.
This is the Bloom Cocoon. We try not to talk about those things here, but that's what we got.
Yeah. It's weird. And Davy, she's put in this weird zone too. She's really struggling to understand the logic behind creating bombs as an industry to murder and kill thousands of people. Jason loves this shit, though. He's so excited about basically everything that Walter and Bitsy show him whenever they go on their excursions. But there's a really interesting conversation on page 68, which I think kind of sums all this up.
So I'm Jason, and I'm running my hand along the surface of Little Boy, the one that was dropped on Hiroshima. And they were invented here in Los Alamos?
That's right.
And they killed a lot of people?
Yeah.
How many people did this bomb kill?
A lot.
Hundreds?
Yes.
Thousands?
Yes. I don't know the exact numbers. And then Davy notes that she thinks it's peculiar for a guide not to be able to answer Jason's question, but maybe she doesn't want to answer him.
Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not understandable.
Both.
I mean, incomprehensible. Does Uncle Walter make bombs?
Uncle Walter doesn't make them. He's involved in designing and research.
Then we've got Davy. He is? For bombs?
For weapon... That was really amazing. For weapons in general.
I had no idea.
You know Uncle Walter is a group leader in W Division.
But I don't know what W Division is.
It's the weapons division. Half of the lab is involved in weapons research, and the other half is involved in basic research. Medicine, energy. So then this leads into Davy really contemplating Walter's role in all of this.
She's freaked out.
Yeah, she's horrified that her uncle is creating weapons that kill thousands and thousands of innocent people. It's just now dawning on her what he really does.
She's having her Winchester moment.
Her Winchester moment.
Well, you know the Winchester Mystery House?
Yeah.
So Sarah Winchester was she's either the daughter or the widow of the man that ran, the Winchester rifles. And that's why she kind of went loopy and built all the stairs to nowhere and all the doors. And she was feeling really guilty and haunted by all the people that were killed by the Winchester rifles.
I didn't know that's why.
That's a good road trip.
I've never
not that
been
far.
there.
We should definitely go.
I've wanted to go for a long time. That's fascinating, though. I didn't know that it was built out of guilt.
And I just think probably some paranoid schizophrenia
right.
or something like that, but all kind of stemming from this guilt.
Mm-hmm. Well, Davy thinks, Walter's so ordinary. He's not an evil, mad scientist who wants to blow up the world like she would imagine someone who wants to make bombs would be.
But I think that freaks her out even more.
Right. It's that kind of creepy, benign...
Right, like he just hoses off his blazer, puts his rifle in the trunk, and just goes to work and plots how to kill people.
Mm-hmm. So then, while Davy is just having this kind of crisis of sorts, Davy's mom comes down with a terrible migraine and takes to her bed. Bitsy blames it on the altitude, like she always seems to blame everything on the altitude. She just doesn't want to admit or confront the fact that Davy's mom needs help. She needs therapy. She needs coping mechanisms. This isn't the fucking altitude.
She's 34. Her husband was just murdered, and she has 2 children.
I marked another conversation that we could read on 70.
It's a confrontation at the dinner table.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to be Davy?
Sure.
All right, I'm Walter. Davy, what's wrong?
Nothing.
Oh, yes. I can tell something is wrong.
Well, it's just that I can't believe you design weapons.
So that's it.
Yes, I'm surprised.
It's my job, and I do it as well as I can.
Couldn't you find another job?
That's not the point.
What is?
We're in the business to design the best weapons we can so that no one will ever think they can win a war against us.
It doesn't make any sense.
Think of us as watchdogs, Davy, making sure that no one will ever attack us. But if they do, we'll be ready. And being ready is more than half the battle.
But if nobody made bombs in the first place...
I wish it could be that way.
Why can't it?
Because... You're so good. Because that's not the way of the world.
Should be.
You're right, but it's not.
Ugh. This is just so pertinent to what's happening in our world right now.
Yeah. Oh, Alison, I was on Nextdoor, you know, the Nextdoor app, which I
can't
check.
do it.
Oh, you can't?
No.
I check it when I'm bored, and it's like my new form of just boredom entertainment. When I'm laying in
torture.
bed. Well, I don't know. Our neighborhood's actually pretty good about what they post, but there was one poster recently who was very earnestly and seriously asking who is preparing for World War III and what are they doing? Where do you get a bomb shelter built? Does anyone have any contractors to recommend? It was crazy. And last I checked, no one had responded. So I should go back and follow up with that.
It's crazy because like that is nuts. You know what I mean? Like to be preparing for something like that, but we're also the closest we've been on the doomsday clock in like,
what are we, like 1 minute now?
Oh gosh, we're so close. And it is just a weird, scary time.
It is, but surprisingly, I'm not freaking out.
No?
I don't know. I just kind of
take a
deal with the day to day. Yeah,
take a bath.
Watch some Teen Mom.
I know. Usually it works to just read the Judy Blume.
Right.
But now
we're just being thrust back into it again.
Oh, jeez. Too close to home, Jude.
I know. The chapter ends on a light note, and Judy really does always bring it around to
love the last two paragraphs.
A little bit of levity. Yeah. So after this conversation with Walter, Davy's just like laying in bed or just kind of contemplating the conversation they just had, and she tries to envision Walter as a watchdog, as he described himself, but all she can picture is a German Shepherd or a Doberman.
Named Walter.
And then she goes to bed. She gets out her bread knife and puts it under the pillow and falls asleep with one hand tightly wrapped around it.
That sounds so dangerous.
Yes.
Davy.
Cool it with the bread knife.
When you're sleeping with a knife under your pillow, you can't put your hand under it.
Yes. Oh, man. So, that's it for chapter 13.
That's it. I think you've got some research for
Oh, that's
us.
right. How could I forget? So, last week, I hope I didn't bore everyone, but we talked all about the history of Los Alamos and how it came to be and Project Y, and it just so happened that I had a brush with Project Y last week.
Oh my God.
I had a work trip planned to St. George, Utah. Didn't even think much about it. I just knew it was a town in Utah. Turns out that this town is directly downwind from a bunch of the test sites from Project Y, from the bomb explosions. St. George, Utah. It's in southern Utah. It's near the border of Nevada, about a mile or an hour and a half from Vegas. It's historically been home to a very, very large Mormon population. So these Mormons living there in the 50s and 60s. This is post-World War II, but the government is still doing atomic testing just because. Tensions with the Soviet Union were rising. This is during the Korean War. They still wanted to be the best in the game as far as atomic weapons go. So for a little while, they moved the testing to the Marshall Islands in the South Pacific, but they moved it back to New Mexico and the Utah area for security purposes.
Ooh, they don't want people getting their formulas?
Exactly. But they didn't give a shit about contaminating their own soil and their own populations. So these poor Mormons, they're some of the most patriotic, good citizens you can find, were the direct victims of the nuclear fallout that blew their way after the testing. They're known as the Downwinders. That's just kind of the term that you call these populations that were downwind of nuclear test sites. Yes.
That's wild.
I have some interesting facts for you. So from 1951 to 1962, the Atomic Energy Commission, so that's the AEC, detonated over 100 bombs. 100 nuclear bombs in just a little over a decade. The AEC encouraged locals to enjoy the show. There were no safety concerns here.
Oh my gosh.
So they'd encourage the local residents to get on board and support America by driving out to the desert and watching these explosions as if it's a fireworks show. They had no idea the fallout was blowing towards their communities after every detonation. So, like I said, they became known as the Downwinders. In 1953 alone, 11 bombs were detonated, including several between March and June that directly covered St. George with gray ash and dust from the fallout. Thousands of sheep died, but still, no one was concerned. The AEC blamed it on cold weather.
What?
Unusually cold weather. So get this. A year later, Hollywood came to St. George to film the John Wayne film, The Conqueror. I haven't seen it. Have you?
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's supposed to be a really bad one.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems like late John Wayne, and that was when things were getting really rough.
Yeah, I think it was a flop in theaters, but it became known as the RKO radioactive picture. Have you heard about this?
What? No, this is absurdly fascinating, and I need to hear more right now.
Okay. So they filmed in St. George because of the landscape, and it was cheap, and, you know, they had a lot of, like, local populations that were willing to be extras. But after filming The Conqueror, a lot of the cast and crew members became sick with various cancers in the following years, including John Wayne, who died of cancer in 1979.
Yeah.
And his co-star, Susan Hayward. Of 220 cast and crew, 91 had contracted cancer, and 46 had died of cancer.
That's awful.
Yeah, by 1981. So that's only 20 years after, 20-something years. So it sounds bad, but analysts have figured out since then that radioactivity was not likely the direct cause of these deaths and cancers. I mean, this was like back in the day when everybody smoked and they're eating, you know, it was just... That was kind of on par with the cancer rates of the rest of the general population.
Just might have sped things up a little bit.
It could have, yeah. But that said, the local residents who lived there permanently were much more likely to have real damage. It's just that the John Wayne movie got a lot of publicity because it just seemed crazy that 91 people had cancer out of the 220 that worked on it, and John Wayne himself died.
Yeah.
So in the 1960s in St. George, Utah alone, multiple cases of childhood leukemia, adult cancers were reported, which is odd because, like I said, it's the Mormon population there who tended to live a more pure lifestyle. And so
it's true.
Alcohol's
really bad for you.
Exactly. So because of that, they actually statistically have a lower cancer rate than the rest of the population.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I didn't realize.
But this St. George population had a cancer rate 5 times higher than the general population.
Were your clients live there? Are they Downwinders?
Well, they're a later generation, so I don't know enough about like how irradiated soil works. I'm sure it's still contaminated, but maybe some efforts have been made to bury it, or people just don't go there. So the people who live there now aren't too concerned, but it's like it's like the boomer generation that have either died off or had like mysterious, lot of cancers, thyroid problems. So even up until the 80s, the government really downplayed the seriousness of these cancer rates and apparently altered the stats. Yeah.
Government conspiracy?
Yeah. I mean, according to what I read. Crazy.
Wow.
So I just spent 5 days there and yeah.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay right now. Fingers crossed.
Oh, man. That's...
So
all I've got are crystals. She's got a lot of nuclear waste stuff.
It's all good. All of it's good. So,
man, how do I move on from there?
Let's just do it. Chapter 13. Boom.
This is chapter 14.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. Jody,
I'm not doing this on purpose, I swear.
You gotta get your chapters straight.
I do.
Chapter 14 begins. Davy packs the bike up with the boots and some water. She tells the family she's heading out for exercise because she knows that nobody will fight with her if she's going out for exercise because these people like to exercise.
Oh, yeah, they're all about it.
Yeah, Walter jogs and Bitsy takes walks around the neighborhood with her friends.
Yes.
Like, okay. She heads right to the canyon because, of course, she can't stop thinking about wolf. Wolf. And she sees him at the canyon.
Can you believe it? I was like, there's no way she's going to run into him, but there he is.
Really, she's got it figured out. And maybe he's been looking for her too.
Yeah, you're probably right.
They're at the canyon. You know, she says some cheeky stuff to him. She's kind of like, hey, you new around here?
You don't know your ass from your elbow or your armpit. Yeah. She's really, what's that comedy term? She's doing like callbacks.
Oh, yeah, exactly. She's doing some callbacks. Really trying to charm him with her wit. And then they have a little moment. Wolf opens his knapsack. He offers Davy some fruit and cheese.
Which sounds heavenly.
Yeah, it does. Sounds so delightful. She takes an orange and a piece of cheddar. And then he says to her, "You have sad eyes, tiger. A bright smile, but sad eyes." Let that sink in for a minute. Ooh.
It is sinking in hard.
You know, he waits for her to say something, and she doesn't. He says, "You want to talk about it?" And she's like, "No, not really." And, you know, but someday they'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they have this really strong connection without having to say a whole lot.
It's so refreshing to find a pal, and you can just sit and eat your cheese and fruit and enjoy the
Be in the canyon
scenery.
with your feet a-hurtin'.
Oh, yeah. She got a blister.
Mm-hmm. But that night, when she gets home, Bitsy really gives her hell because she saw Davy out riding without her helmet. She knows. I'm with Bitsy on this one. You do have to wear a helmet when you ride your bike. So, that's all.
So that's all.
That's all I'm going to say about that. And the next morning, they go to the Hot Air Balloon Festival in Albuquerque, which is the thing I actually knew about.
Really?
I knew that there are a lot of hot air balloons in Albuquerque.
I didn't know that.
And I also knew that hot air balloons are super dangerous.
Yeah.
Also, they get some donuts on the way. Just wanted to make sure that we all know about the donuts. So as they sit watching the hot air balloons, they're kind of talking about it, and Mom says something really weird.
Oh, yeah.
She says, "I'd like to go up in a hot air balloon and never come down."
Can you just imagine they're all standing there watching these pretty hot air balloons and being like, ooh, ah, and then the mom is kind of off to the side just murmuring like, "I'd like to go up and never come down."
I hope that's...
I hope she didn't say it that way, but that's what I'm imagining. And it's just so, it's awful because you know what she means by that. But imagine being the child of a parent who says that.
Being either 7,
Yeah.
which that'd be a really strange thing to hear, or 15.
Yeah.
When you're older, you could be like, what?
Mm-hmm.
You could kind of, I think, have the guts to maybe say something about that comment. But when you're 7 or 15, you're not prepared to have that conversation. And so they all just look at her and they say, you know, like, what does she mean by that? It's a dark time.
Well, especially after losing one parent, the last thing you want to hear is another parent kind of insinuating like, "I never want to come back."
You kind of need that parent more than ever.
I know.
And so Mom continues to get the bad headaches. They finally go to the doctor. I don't know what the apprehension about going to the doctor is with this family or any kind of therapy, but they finally go to the doctor, and he says it's tension, anxiety, and depression. That's why she's getting those headaches, which for sure, I get migraines when I get really stressed out. So I can't even imagine like having all of this stuff going on in your life. Ugh. And so Bitsy brings some hot cocoa up to talk with Davy. And she says, you know, your mom's not really doing very well. Not really well enough to take care of you guys. She has this real conversation with her. And so she lets Davy know they need to stay a bit longer. And that Jason really wants to go back to school. And so Davy gets to go back to school too.
Oh my gosh.
And I kind of like that Davy's like, wait, no, I'll just be hanging out.
She wants to take a year off, study astronomy on her own accord, do some babysitting. Like that's her fantasy.
I'm like, yeah, I guess when you're 15, that sounds fine.
Yeah.
And who knows, like maybe taking a year off would actually be good for her, but nobody lets you do that kind of thing when you're 15.
No.
And so they have a funny combo. If you'd like to read with me, Jody.
Yeah.
How long do you think we'll be staying?
I can't tell you that.
But I have to know. It's important.
I don't know myself, Davy. It depends on your mother.
But how can I go to school without knowing how long I'm going to stay?
What does that have to do with it?
Everything. I have to know if I should bother to make friends.
Of course you should make friends. What kind of question is that?
It's an important question. But she can see that Bitsy has no idea what she's talking about, which I just thought was kind of funny because Bitsy's like, well, in any situation you're in, you should be trying to make friends.
Right, everywhere you go.
But I understand Davy's point of view of like, I'm not going to try and make friends if I'm not going to like ever see these people again.
I was the new kid at school like every 3 years, and it's not easy. You have to make a lot of effort, and it's an investment. It's an emotional and like time investment. If you're not going to stick around to like reap the benefits of having friends in a couple weeks or a month even, there's no point.
No, if I'm not going to be somewhere more than like a few days.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with any other people. Well, Jody didn't appreciate that. She spilled LaCroix all over herself. She did a spit take.
It was like spit it up somehow, up my nose from out of my mouth and all over my eyes. And all over the mic. Jesus Christ, what happened?
And all over your book. Your notebook's all smudged.
Oh my God. What did you even say that like it made me laugh so hard?
That I don't like talking to people.
My book is, the ink is so runny right now. Jesus. And look at this.
Got a real catastrophe on our hands here at the Blume Saloon.
I gotta take a photo of this. Oh, that's hilarious.
Wait, does sparkling water burn your eyes?
No, I'm just trying to like carefully get it to dab my eyes. It's not burning.
Are you crying?
No, I'm not. It's tears of LaCroix, Pamplemousse. Pamplemousse Tears.
Just Pomp Tears.
Pomp Tears. Oh my God. Now I am really crying.
I have to actually share a joke that's not mine and that I can't take any credit for, and I will give all credit to this man Ray Hobbs that I work with, but he's been joking about getting a Pamplemousse tramp stamp. It's a pomp stomp. So take that in.
This is so crazy because just today, Tyler and I were talking about how Pamplemousse would be the best name for a dog. And if we get a new dog, we're going to name it Pamplemousse, and his nickname is going to be Moose.
Oh, and then...
tie into Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Yeah.
Moose Freed.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Our very first crush here on the Blume Saloon.
Right.
Moose Freed.
Yeah.
So you have to get another dog.
Yes, exactly.
At the very end of the chapter, Davy walks in on her mom. She wants to check in on her, and she sees her laying in bed, surrounded by pictures, talking to a photo of her now deceased husband,
Adam. So sad.
Kind of letting him know how much she misses him.
And then Davy just sees this and I guess just doesn't want to bother her mom.
Doesn't want to bother her. She doesn't want to embarrass her, so she just closes the door. And we close the door on chapter 14.
That was really good.
You like that?
Yeah.
So then it's chapter 15.
Yay!
And Davy spends her last 3 free days before school in the canyon with Wolf. Have you seen Amadeus?
Yes.
I just always want to call him Wolfie.
Oh, yeah.
Wolfie. She's just in the canyon with Wolfie.
And then do like that crazy giggle.
I love that movie. And he brings her a book.
Oh, yeah.
It's called The First Americans. It has a note to her inside. It's not just a borrowing type situation. Mm-hmm. It's a gift.
It's for keeps.
Mm-hmm. And the transcription says, "To Tiger Eyes, who makes me laugh, from Wolf." So we know how the name of the book came to be.
Finally.
It's not crystals.
I'm so sorry, Allison. I'm so sorry.
I'm still holding out hope there will be crystals at some point. Maybe you don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Can I ask you to read, though, the bit on page 81 where Davy has her fantasy about her life together, living as the ancient people did with Wolf?
Oh, yeah. Davy is, remarking on her time with Wolf in the canyons. And she says, "Wolf tells me stories about the Anasazi, the ancient ones. They used to live in this canyon, and in the canyons and cliffs all around here. He takes me for a walk and shows me a cliff dwelling. Try to imagine us hundreds of years ago. Tiger and wolf, living in a cave together. We'd make love on rocks that had been warmed by the sunshine. We'd raise babies, fat and happy."
I mean, she's thinking like a woman.
Yeah. Because I'm like, this does sound good, but I'm twice her age.
Right. When I was 15, I definitely wasn't fantasizing about raising fat, happy babies.
No, I was like, which one of the Backstreet Boys would be my boyfriend? That's where I was. So yeah, we get more on how the name Tiger Eyes came to be and what Wolf has to say about that. He said, "Your eyes, they remind me of a tiger's, the way they change color in the light from golden to brown." She asked him, "When's the last time you saw a tiger?" She says, "I have a cat," he says. "That's close enough." Oh, when I first read this, I read that as her. And she laughs. She wants to hug him, but he doesn't, and neither do I. And so there's just like, there's all this tension. And she thanks him for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend. I'm back again.
So yeah, that was wild. And then it's time to go to school.
When I read this, all I had was the Saved by the Bell theme song running through my head. Speaking of theme songs.
When you wake up
in the morning and I'm thinking of
make it on time.
It's school time.
I saw a great quote by Slater the other day, like AC Slater, but it was him in real life. I can't even think of his name.
Mario Lopez.
And I have a few things to say about Mario Lopez, but I saw a great quote for him. He was like, "I don't understand why people watch that show. It's stupid. It's for kids."
It's for kids?
And I was like, exactly.
Yeah.
So when I was young, in like elementary school, Mario Lopez, his bodyguard was from my hometown. So every once in a while, like if they were passing through or something was going on, Mario Lopez would like show up at a local establishment. I did not get to meet him, but Laura, this girl that I went to school with, had a picture with him, and I remember being so jealous.
I would be too. But wait, so what's the logic behind this? So his bodyguard is from your hometown, and like Mario Lopez would like follow his bodyguard?
Yeah, I think if they were like coming through, it'd be like, well, let's go to my parents' house, or like let's swing by my hometown.
Amazing.
I think they were friends.
Okay, yeah. I love that.
So my hometown is having this whole resurgence right now of movies being filmed there. Like they filmed part of Carol there. And they're filming something right now with a bunch of famous people my mom was telling me about.
Hamilton, Ohio.
Yeah, well, they've been calling it Hamilwood.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. But the best part is that a lot of it stems from James Franco's producing partner being from my town. And he's a few years older than me. And so James Franco has filmed like 3 or 4 movies.
Really?
But I can say they're like real low budget, weird movies. And he's not like having people sign talent releases or doing anything by the books. So my friend Tyler, she was like an extra in a scene where they needed motorcycle babes. And she had to keep riding onto this like set on her motorcycle like over and over and over, like through the night. They were filming it was like a bonfire scene. She never signed a release. They didn't pay her. There's like totally not by the books. Like my tiny little productions that I do at work are way more organized.
It sounds like just like Fire Festival. Bring it a bag.
Yeah, so maybe they should start doing music festivals.
Yeah.
There. So anyways, Davey's going to school.
Oh, yeah, by the way.
So Bitsy takes her to Los Alamos High, slips her $10, and then says, by the way, I'm going to start giving you allowance. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Take it.
They get to registration. They need all this paperwork. And Davey's like, I don't have any of that stuff. And Bitsy's like, oh, I do.
Yeah, she just produces it magically.
Davey finds that a little bit suspicious. And then Bitsy finally, very reluctantly leaves when Davey tells her, I don't really need you here. And Davey remarks that, Bitsy is really enjoying this kind of instant motherhood that she's taken on.
Yeah.
Davey meets with a guidance counselor. She tries to take astronomy as her science class, which, like, in my head, I was like, they don't have astronomy at school in high school. And they're like, yeah, we don't have that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I felt very validated. She doesn't want to take chemistry. So she takes typing.
That's the
instead.
best. A typing class.
So when I was in 10th grade, or no, when I was a junior in high school, that's when most people took chemistry. And I actually was like, no, I don't want to take chemistry. I'm going to take anatomy and physiology instead. And then I took chemistry my senior year, but we had to dissect a cat.
Oh, man.
And our cat was like giant.
Oh.
It's like a mountain lion.
Where do they get those baby kitties from? I don't even want to know.
Dumpsters.
Oh. That's terrible.
Bizarre.
I thought you were going to talk about when you took a typing class.
No, I did that way younger. I was in like 4th grade when I did that.
Typing? Or was it like computer?
Well, it was like keyboarding.
Keyboarding, yeah. We had that. Mavis Bacon all the way. But I always think of, do you remember Freaky Friday, the original one with, it was Jodie Foster, right?
Haley Mills.
Oh, really? Freaky Friday?
Oh,
No.
Freaky Friday's Jodie Foster.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure there's, like, she's in a typing class in that, and it's, like, typewriters. Just desks with typewriters, and they're just pounding away. That seems amazing. But yeah, I didn't take chemistry either. Well, I technically did take chemistry, but I never went to class. So essentially, I never took chemistry.
So Davy hops into her English class. It's her first period of the day. She's a little bit late. But she meets Jane because the teacher says, you've got to get your notes from someone. She get them from Jane. And this is a quote that, Jody, we talked about earlier.
The no chin.
The no chin. The, quote, practically non-existent chin.
But I love that not only does she not have a chin, but her lack of a chin hinders her from the beauty she could be. She's like tall, blonde, and beautiful, except for her chin, which is practically non-existent.
Oh, it's so mean.
Yeah. Kind of judgy, Davy.
Yeah.
Not everyone can have beautiful tiger eyes like you.
It's true. I know. We all know Davy's a babe. And they go to they don't have a second period class, so they just go to a little store. That's what we called our little stores.
Just a little store?
Just the little store. The pony keg.
Davy calls it a sleazy store.
Yeah, but it's just a little store.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some boys outside, like, hollering, and Jane calls them stomps.
Remember the stomps?
Yeah.
And the loadies?
And so it's boys wearing boots and hats.
Yeah.
Are these stomps.
Yeah. I guess that's just regional slang for, like, rednecks or cowboys, whatever you want to call it.
Also, Jane thinks that Atlantic City is in California.
Yeah, for someone allegedly being so smart.
Yeah, someone you were supposed to be getting your notes from.
That's amazing. But then she's like, oh, I was thinking of Studio City. She played that one off really, really quickly.
And so then she asked Davy's, if Davy's dad is a physicist and if that's why they moved there, which I thought was a really sexist question, but it is 1981. Mm-hmm. So I guess there weren't a lot of lady physicists then, but don't like that. But she goes into a whole lie about how her dad had a heart attack and he died in his sleep. I'm like, what, Davy? But of course she doesn't want to talk about what's really going on. That's a bit dark.
It was also interesting because she wasn't planning on lying. It just kind of came out of her mouth, and she's like, I don't know why I'm lying.
She's like,
but
I can't stop.
It makes sense. It's a way of protecting herself against a terrible reality.
And we learn that Jane lives on Bathtub Row.
Yeah.
Which is a very prestigious area. The most prestigious area on the hill.
Yeah.
And then they get home and they have dinner, and Walter is pissed that Davy isn't taking a science course. He kind of flies off the handle here.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, we're seeing the real Walter.
Yes.
This is the first time he's kind of letting his guard down, and he's sloshing brandy and getting a little
brandy.
heated.
They like their brandy in this family.
Yeah, and he's asking Davy, well, what are you going to do with your life? How are you going to get into college? Davy's like, I'm 15. I don't know. And, I just don't think her parents were super focused on that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's coming into this household where they're overcompensating a bit for not having their own children. And they're obviously go-getters and think, life should be a certain way. And, oof.
Yeah.
Oof. It's a bit much.
Yeah.
And then, Jason's really worried about Mom, and he tells Davy he's worried about Mom, and what would happen to them if something were to happen to their mom, would they have to stay there with Walter and Bitsy? And Davy's like, I guess, I don't know, but you see Davy becoming more and more protective over Jason. She brings him in for a kiss goodnight, even though they don't usually do that.
Right. He's a little freaked out, but I think maybe, their mother is MIA at this point, zonked out on headache pills, what Davy calls them, but I'm sure it's
something strong.
Xanax, Ativan, something.
I think back then there were a lot of barbiturates. And that's where we end chapter 15. What is going to happen next?
They're all kind of spinning in their own little orbits, like colliding every once in a while, but they're all doing their own thing. And I had a very deep thought. Can I share this with you?
Please. But I also want to say I really like the astronomy
language.
You were just
Didn't even
that's pretty cool.
Do that on purpose. But my deep thought
didn't get smeared by the water.
It did, but I can still read it. I think we should have a deep thought section every episode.
I'm in.
Here's one. So this is during the scene where they're watching the hot air balloons in Albuquerque, and they all have these different reactions to the hot air balloons. So I was like, you know what? The hot air balloons represent the different things to these different people that explains their personality so well at this point in time. For instance, to Jason, the hot air balloon represents excitement. He's pumped.
Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. To Walter and Bitsy, the hot air balloons represent fear.
That's right. They're beautiful, but they would never.
Only a fool would go up in a hot air balloon. To the mom, the hot air balloons represent escape.
Ah, yes. I see that. She wants to float away and never come back. And then to Davy, the hot air balloons represent defiance. An adventure.
Because she wants to go on one, probably solely because Walter and Bitsy were like, no, never.
Oh, yeah, that egged her on even more.
Right. So very, very deep.
Thank you for those deep hot air balloon thoughts.
You're welcome.
By Jody.
And those were the 3 chapters we read. So much happened.
So much continues to happen. I can't wait to hear more about Jane. I can't wait to hear more about Wolf. I can't wait for a real full witsy confrontation. I think it's coming. And then I don't want there to be a full mom meltdown. I think that might have already happened.
Yeah.
I really don't want anything bad to happen to Mom. I just want her to, like, relax.
I think she's in
get better on
recuperation
her own
mode.
time, yeah.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think Judy had her own wolf in real life?
Ooh, while she was there and she was married for that short period of time, do you think she met a mystery man in the canyons?
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. A little canyon fling.
A little canyon rendezvous?
Yeah.
Ooh. Judy, if you're listening, tell us. Send us an email to bloomsaloon@gmail.com. And if anyone has had a wolf experience in their lives.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't even have to be in a canyon. It can be just someone you meet when
you just have this mysterious connection with.
You don't know anything about their past. You don't even know their real name, but you have a shared bond.
Yeah.
Well. I have to go pee. Okay. We'll take a break, and then we're going to come back with some fun quizzes.
We're back with all kinds of teen magazine realness.
Oh, so real. So we have a Tiger Beat super special issue from 1980. I didn't have a 1981 issue on hand. I'm very sorry, but we do have 2 magazines coming next week, Teen and 17 from 1981.
I'm so excited. And, you know, something else in this same era to have everyone else think about, 1982, Grease 2 came out.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I thought Grease 2 was so much later.
No, it was 1982.
Because Grease was 78, 79? Yeah. Okay.
So it really shows how, like, what a weird time.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
These early 80s.
I just don't think they hadn't quite figured out what the 80s was yet.
No, it hadn't come into its own yet.
No. And what better way to just dive right in than to take this quiz from Tiger Beat Super Special.
I'm doing some computer dating.
It's called Be John Schneider's Computer Date Mate.
Who's John Schneider, you ask? He was Bo Duke on Dukes of Hazzard. And he's been in a lot of things since. Good, blonde, Christian country boy.
Yeah, and he kind of looks exactly the same now that he did in 1980, so...
It's true.
So, Allison, do you want to be John Schneider's computer date mate?
I want nothing more than to be John Schneider's computer date mate.
So, let's ask you some questions, and then we'll run it through the computer.
Oh my God.
We'll do some calculations and see how you match up.
I really hope this works out.
Okay, number 1. If you went for a walk in the country, the first thing you do is A, kick off your shoes and walk barefoot. B, pick a bouquet of flowers. C, find a shady tree to nap under.
C, find a shady tree to nap under. I'm always looking for ways to sit down on hikes.
I love that answer. Okay. Number 2, when the subject of race car driving comes up, you... A, laugh and say, that's just for guys. Ha ha ha. B, can't think of anything you dislike more. C, shout, let's go.
B, I don't, really hate it, but I'm risk averse when it comes to being inside of a car, so I don't like driving. I like driving myself fairly fast, but I don't like when other people drive fast.
Okay, got it.
So I just would not be into that.
Okay. On the many occasions when race car driving comes up. But I'm sure it does because of James.
It does because my husband was arrested for street racing in college. So
my favorite
I'm still
story.
living that life.
Got it. So this hits very close to home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 3. Which kind of food makes you hungry just thinking about it? A, fried chicken. B, hamburgers with the works. C, cookies.
Ooh. Oh, this is really tough. I really like fried chicken. I really like cookies, but I really, really like cookies right now. So I'm going to have to go with C.
Okay. All right. Number 4, your favorite musical instrument is A, piano, B, guitar, C, violin.
I like guitar.
Okay. Good, good. And by the way, I'm circling these all, so we'll do the calculations when we're done. There's 10 questions.
Beep, boop, beep, boop, 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 boop.
Yes. Okay, 5. A quiet evening at home means watching A, 60 Minutes, B, Happy Days, C, Mork and Mindy.
Ooh. It's like an enjoyable night.
A quiet evening at home.
I mean, none of them sound good, but I'll go with Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy's awesome. What are you talking about? But when we did our 1981 research, we learned that 60 Minutes was like in the top 5 TV.
That's true.
Yeah.
Seems stressful.
Yeah, it's not a quiet evening at home.
No.
6. A sport you could really get into is A, skiing, B, ice skating, C, competition diving.
I'm not a strong swimmer. Okay at ice skating, but I have to say skiing is something I'm probably better at than any of the others.
Okay, great. You're doing great.
I just really hope I'm John Schneider's computer date mate.
His face is looking so intently at me on this page that it's really freaking me out, and I'm like, I want to just cover it up.
Are you my mate?
Yeah.
That's what he's asking.
7. A great way to spend the Saturday morning is A, watching cartoons, B, playing tennis, C, washing your car.
Ooh. Cartoons.
Yeah. Duh. 8. When you go to the movies, the first actor you want to see is A, Robert De Niro, B, Sylvester Stallone, C, Robert Redford.
Who's the first one?
Robert De Niro.
Who's the second one?
Sylvester Stallone.
This is really tough, but I'm gonna have to go with Robert Redford.
9. Your idea of a naughty but nice junk food treat is A, ice cream, B, chocolate cake, C, potato chips.
Potato chips.
Tater chips.
I love chips.
Why do they have to put but nice?
Yeah, it's naughty but nice.
Okay.
In my mouth.
10. This is the last one. This
Thank
is make it or
goodness.
break it. I know. You'd like your romantic future to include A, marriage but no children. I would love it if you said that. B, being married a few years and then having children. C, marriage and having a big family.
I'll go with B because
that's what's happening
most
right now. I like that, like, there's no option for not getting married.
Right.
Okay, let's take a quick break. I'm going to do my computer calculations, and then we'll tell you whether or not you are John Schneider's computer date mate. Boop, 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 boop. Meep, meep, meep. That doesn't sound positive, does it, Allison?
No, it doesn't.
I'm very sorry to tell you. You got 5, and the scoring system says if you get 0 to 5 correct, better find someone more compatible with you.
Oh man.
I'll say it in a computer voice.
No. Okay.
Better find better find someone more compatible with you.
You just sound constipated.
That was like Steve Urkel constipated.
Well, I'm very disappointed. I don't know how I'm gonna go to sleep tonight knowing this.
It's okay.
I'm ready for love. And I loved everything about today's episode.
Yeah, it was definitely an adventure for all of us.
I love this book. I love letters.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some really, really, really great letters that we're going to share with you next week. So you have to tune in next week. I'm sorry. And if you'd like to send us a letter between this week and next week, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. bloomsaloon@gmail.com.
That's right. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes and subscribe and to share with your friends.
Yeah, help us spread the word. We would like to bring the Bloom Saloon to the entire world.
I feel like you deserve it.
Bye.
Bye.